the situation with Tax, look, as a voice in a field doing media, you're going to ultimately rub people the wrong way, and there's going to be conflict based on your opinions, right? I'm beefing with a half dozen people right now, or they're beefing with me over things that I've said about them and my opinions. It is what it is. Some people I respond to, some people I don't. You know what I mean? Some people we work it out, like an NLE chopper. Some people I don't work it out with. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But ultimately, when you start bringing guns into the situation, it rarely works out in your favor.
Well, that's the part of it that I'm talking about. Yeah. The part of it that I'm talking about
is the gun part. You know what I mean? And the whole thing of it is that, like, Tax's, where I think Tax made his biggest mistake was bringing a gun into, Irving Plaza.
And so that's what I'm talking about. What I mean by that is...
That's the part that really kind of disappointed me, because it's like, Tax was well known enough and respected enough that he could have just had a few people with him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, he could have had bodyguards with him that would have physically protected him from Banger and from Troy Ave and whatever else. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I have security with me and we're armed most of the time, but sometimes we go into places where we can't bring our guns. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Well, not my guns, but their guns. You know what I mean? Because I'm hiring them to protect me. Yeah. Right? And the thing is also is that, like, and this is such a hip hop thing, and it annoys me so much that, because a lot of these rappers and a lot of these, kind of street oriented media personalities are so anti-police that they won't use actual police security. When you have an advantage when you have police security, right? I mean, look at, for example, the Takeoff situation. An argument starts to ensue over a dice game. People are, blah, blah, let me get out of here before I hurt someone, Quavo said, and, people are mad about money lost and so forth. Quavo's security pulled out his pistol, right? Mm-hmm. Which ultimately, I think, just escalated the situation from my point of view. Now, take that security guy out, like the homie security, some guy they grew up with who's legally licensed to carry, and put in an actual, Atlanta police officer in that situation. That officer would have seen the things escalated, would have just pulled out his badge and said, everyone calm down. The police are here. You think a shooting would have happened with a cop right there in the middle, as opposed to some guy with a pistol out? Think about that. Like when and I will say this clearly, like, when I'm in LA, I use either ex-LAPD or current LAPD security. In New York now, I just use active NYPD security. You know what I'm saying? Because my whole thing is like, I'm going to have an advantage over you if there's a problem. NYPD is the biggest police force in America.
Right.
You think if you want to go head up against an NYPD guy, be my fucking guest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They have missile launchers. Like, you know what I mean? And tanks. Okay? Be my guest.
Let's deconstruct.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Number one, these guys have a need to take care of themselves. And that need comes from what it's like to survive. I'm going to speak not for any of these brothers in particular, but I'm gonna just tell you from what I'm aware of. In order to survive and thrive in some of the areas that they might have grown up in, mm-hmm. the ethos is you have to be able to take care of yourself, and your brothers around you will take care of you as well. Mm-hmm. So there's a need to be independent, right? These are people that don't want to take money. Everybody talks about, like, getting welfare or assistance or anything like that. When I was coming up, the last thing that any man wanted to do was to give food stamps. Mm-hmm. You wanted to be one of the guys out there. Not saying that we didn't, not saying that people didn't, but you wanted to be one of the guys out there that could get it on your own. Mm-hmm. That could, like, all of that stuff shows independence. It shows that you're secure. It presents security, right? So you want to be able to not have to call anyone to keep you safe. That's the first thing. And I'm not saying that that's right. I'm saying that a part of it is, whatever happens to me, I don't care if it's me by myself and it's three of y'all. If it's three of y'all, I gotta get down with three of y'all. But I know that my guys are gonna come, but if it's just me, I'm not running. I don't need no passes from nobody. I don't need nobody to give me a second chance. If it's gotta go down, I'm gonna take my ass whoop and come back the next day and you're gonna see what's up. That's the first thing. Secondly, the relationship between guys like what you're talking about and the police is not nearly secure enough where they would trust the police to protect them. They would trust the guys from their neighborhood who aren't the best shots, who are probably trigger happy,
hold the gun sideways,
who are, but they know that those guys love them. If you're around the police, you got to worry about if you smoking weed, if one of your homies. Wait.
Weed is legal now.
I get it, but just whatever drugs. There's a lot of these drugs ain't legal. You got to worry about what the homies around you are doing. There might be guys in your crew that got warrants, right? There might be all kinds of situations where we just don't want the police around. We don't want the cops around. So for you, that makes a lot more sense, I would say, than some of the other guys that we might be talking about.
And I could, I could relate to that, and I could empathize in this particular situation. And if this is a rapper who's still on the block, who's barely making enough off some show money, and you know what I'm saying, still trying to get a major label deal, and is barely scraping by, and still lives with his mom in the hood, and is just has
but the habits die hard though, bro.
It's fronting for the gram, is using his man's jewelry, and I get it. There's just not enough money to go around. You're still living where you live. You're still accessible and so forth. I'm talking about the guys who live in Calabasas, who live in Hidden Hills, who live in gated communities, who are multimillionaires,
they still think they're the person that we're talking about.
Exactly. And this is immaturity. This is immaturity. You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, listen, I hire police security, right? Do they ever try to bust me or people around me? You know what I mean?
Like, they wouldn't try to bust you though.
But I've been around.
But they never. But Vlad, you have to. Even the police
listen,
don't look at you the same way they look at me.
Listen, the police officer that you're paying to put on payroll is not going to go out of his way to then bust you or someone around you.
I'm not saying that he will.
See what I'm saying?
But I'm saying,
yes, you may not be able to sniff coke around this cop. Oh well.
Or somebody else around, but you never know what's going to happen.
You don't, and certain people just need to be left behind you because you're now a multimillionaire who lives in a gated community, who has millions of dollars.
Let me ask you a question.
Who's taking care of a lot of people.
Let me ask you a question.
You can't roll like that anymore.
Let me ask you a question. How many times have you been handcuffed in your life?
4.
You've been handcuffed
4? 1, 2. Around 4 times.
Around 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about freaky deaky. I'm talking about by the cops.
By the cops.
Okay. Yeah. What were you handcuffed for? Do you remember?
Once as a kid, we were at school fucking around, letting off a bunch of fireworks and shit like that. Police came, arrested everyone. Arrested everyone and so forth. Another time as a kid, me and a group of my friends broke into the mall and stole a bunch of candy and shit. Then when we came out, we had lost the key to the bikes that we had locked together. The police showed up, found all of our stolen goods. We were all arrested. I had to do a bunch of community service. And the last 2 times when I was living in New York, I was pulled over with suspended licenses. I went to jail for like 3 days the first time, and then the second time, I got handcuffed, and they basically I paid my bond and they let me go. So four different times.
Okay.
The last time, the third time, no, five times altogether. The fourth time I got locked up.
Master criminal.
I'm not a master criminal. But the fourth time I actually got roughed up by the police. They slammed me against the hood, and like were extra rough with me for no reason. You know what I'm saying, and so forth. I've never gotten beaten up or beaten bloody by the police, but I've been roughed up, and I've been had shit talk to me and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been handcuffed, I think 6 times.
Okay.
I have never broken the law. When I say never broken the law, I mean I have never been handcuffed as a result of breaking the law. Okay. First time I was ever handcuffed, I was standing in my driveway. I was sitting in my driveway doing my homework. The second time I was handcuffed, I was riding in the car with some guys that had committed a crime before. In that same car, went and did whatever they did, dropped their shit off, came back and picked me up and go to a party. I don't know what's going on, and I get handcuffed. Third time was at a club. The cop came around with a taser, was tasing everybody. I'm like, oh shit, taser. And he goes, what? What? Come here, say it to my face. I'm like, oh, I'm saying you got a taser. And because he was tasing people to get them off the sidewalk. And I'm like, oh, I'm just saying you got a taser. I got to tell you, yeah, what about it? What about it? Turn around. handcuffed me, ran my shit. And the fourth time I was handcuffed, I was just walking in the specific part of Baton Rouge, and just like the first time, I fit the description. So think about what we just did. I have a completely clean record. You are actually a criminal. You've broken the law several times. I did not know this about you. But what I'm saying is, my relationship with the police is totally different than your relationship with the police. I said earlier that I will call the police in a pinch, right? Other than that, I don't want them around me. It's danger. I see the cops and I'm like, oh shit. Like, I used to be like, I see the cops, I turn my fucking music down. I don't want any fucking reason for the police to notice me. Right. I don't feel safer around the cops, and I don't want them coming to parties with me.
and let me just tell you, for everyone who just doesn't know, who hasn't experienced this, I don't like having police around me either, unless I'm paying them. Right. When I pay the police, it's a completely different situation.
I don't trust them.
You know what I'm saying? The cop that I use in New York was a fan of my mixtapes back in the day. You know what I'm saying? We have a friendly relationship. Right. And he's there to protect me, and he's got his gun. And let me tell you what happens when shit goes down. If shit really goes down and someone gets shot or someone gets killed, your homie who does security, who may have a warrant out, who's anti-snitching, will say, I didn't see nothing.
Right.
I don't know what happened. I wasn't there.
But the cop's going to tell the truth.
The cop is going to get on the stand and explain that this is what led up to the situation, and this is why he was forced to pull out his pistol and kill the person who was a threat. And I will be able to actually walk away as opposed to being charged for a murder because my friend just shot somebody and he doesn't want to talk.
I don't want the police. When I get to the point that I get to the personal security joint, I want like some Jason Bourne motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? I want, you know what I'm saying? Take a fucking pencil, stab, you know what I'm saying? Like that. You know, they do that move where they do like that. They grab your shit.
You want a Green Beret or a
yeah, like you know, saying they grab your shit. And it's like, there's Mr. Lathan right here. You know, grab your shit. They do like that. That's the kind of people that I want. But I do understand why people don't want the cops. But to round this off, I do think Tax will be home before the 35 years. I think there's a lot of opportunity on appeal for him. And I miss his voice, man. Like I miss his voice out here. Like there's a lot of subjects that he's tailor-made to talk about. So free Taxstone, man.
Free Taxstone.